Hi, Mark here. Tuesday, July the 22nd, going on 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Let's have a look at the US dollar's performance today. I've got the dollar index. Sorry, I've got the dollar index up right now. And there you can see giving up a little bit following yesterday's push higher, sitting right now at 193. Looking to test that 101 level. I've got support at 112. There you see on the daily candlestick, 4 consecutive days of higher highs, higher lows, uptrend in place. Today so far has given up a little, but I have kept here this ascending trend line, and we'll see if that can keep sellers from pushing lower. Buyers have bounced off that level so far today. You can see sitting just under that 101 level. If I zoom and the uptrend still in place, EMAs have crossed to the upside. Let me just go one time frame lower to the 4 hour. There you can see on the 4 hour has slightly crossed to the downside, the EMAs, but not looking to go much lower. And I think if it does push lower, this will be the level that buyers will look to bounce up off, as it has done and maintained with this ascending trend line. And that'll be around the 185, 190 level, pretty much a push lower to test off here. Buyers bounce up off this ascending trend line and then look back up to the 101.13. And if I go one time frame lower to the hourly, there you can see looking for a bounce up of this ascending trend line. Sellers will look for a break below, in other words, to break this ascending trend line and to come below the 186, perhaps lower. But overall, on the daily, you can see struggling to pick up from where it left off yesterday. So far, hasn't gone higher than yesterday's high. We'll see now that the US session is open how that does play out. But at this point, strong US dollar continuing into the new trading day. Let's have a look at the majors. Euro US. There you see the downtrend which has been in place the last 4 days. That's selling euro, buying US dollar. That's going together with dollar strength like we saw on the index. Here's the fight back today. US dollar giving up some of those gains like we saw on the index. Small green candlestick today. Let's zoom in from the daily to the 4 hour. There you see there's been a crossover on the EMAs from downtrend to uptrend. That's buying euro, selling US dollar giving up some gains. We'll see if that does continue. Buyers will be looking up at this resistance at 114.28. That's the resistance level. Sellers will look to come back below this 114 level, looking down at the 113.96 support level. Let's go to the hourly. And there you can see EMA is about to cross to the upside. So certainly technically we are seeing an indication of weak US dollar confirmed against the euro, buying euro, selling US dollar. Buyers will be looking up at this level at the 114.28. Let's have a look at the pound against the US. And there you see also selling pound, buying US dollar strength. Last 4 days, struggling a little bit today. I've got support sitting here at 133.57. That's the level that sellers will be looking to break below. But you can see already buyers of pound have stepped in, a little bit of US dollar weakness, like we saw on the index, like we saw on the euro. Let's zoom in on the 4 hour. There you see the downtrend still in place, but definitely has tapered off. I drew in as well the descending trend line on the 4-hour chart. There you can see, and if we see a continuation of buying pound, selling US, and US dollar weakness does continue at least through the early portion of the US session, buyers will be looking up here to the 134.29 level to get back above that 134. Remember, now sitting at 133.70. Sellers will look to test this 133.58 is the first support level, and then 133.42. That's the daily support level. And if I go one lower, I'm now at the hourly. There you see how it has played out. This is where we're sitting now, just slightly above this 4-hour support level. Let's see if we do get a bounce, a test of this descending trend line, or a continuation of selling pound, buying US dollar strength, and sellers look to break below these support levels. Going to the US dollar against the yen. US dollar has been really strong against a weak yen. There's the strong uptrend. Certainly a bit of a sell-off earlier. That's selling US, buying yen, weak US dollar, but seems to be fighting its way back again and looking up at the 163.21 resistance level. And I've got the 4-hour support at 162.22, and there is the daily support sitting at 161.22. It's about 200 pips away from where we're sitting now. If I go to the 4-hour, there you can see buyers got held up at the resistance level, the 163.22 area, for 3-4 hours, and then the push lower in the last 4-hour candlesticks, and buyers looking now to come back and continue with the uptrend. Let's go to the hourly, and there you can see on the hourly I drew in an ascending trend line after the push lower earlier, 5-6 hours ago. I've now got a series of higher highs of higher lows, looking for higher highs, looking to break above this resistance level now, sitting at 163 and looking back up at 163.21. That would be US dollar strength. If we see US dollar weakness, sellers will look to break below this, the bottom part of the ascending triangle, below the 163, looking all the way down at this, what we saw earlier in the European session, 162.69. And then the last of the big four, let's look at the US dollar against the Canadian. And we've had strong US dollar here. I'm on the dailies, and there you see the strong bounce we had 2 days ago continued yesterday, but now giving up those gains. Red candlestick today, that's selling US dollar, buying Canadian. US dollar weakness so far, and able to maintain, sitting right now at 140.81. I've got resistance at 141.12. Let's go from the, and downtrend still intact. Let's have a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour, we've had a crossover. You can see there's the crossover from uptrend to downtrend. I've got a lower high, got a lower low as well. I had put in this, which looked like a strategic level, which it's broken below at 140.84 on the hourly. And the reason I put it in, it looked a significant level. Previous resistance became support, but as you can see now, within the last since the US session got underway, sellers have broken below this support level. We'll see if that can continue, if sellers can push all the way down here to the 4-hour support sitting at 140.54. It's a good 30 pips away from where we are now. Or if US dollar strength does return, buyers will look to get back above this current level, look back up at that 141 or higher. So that's where we're sitting right now. US dollar strength being tested this morning, possibly giving up some of those gains, which we have seen, which we saw yesterday to start the week, we've got our relevant support and resistance level to work with. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of day.